On May 4th, a 20-year-old Iranian TikToker named Ali Alireza Fazeli Monfared was murdered. Now, any murder is extremely shocking and heartbreaking, but what makes this murder even more dark and twisted is the fact that Ali Reza was actually murdered by his own family. Ali Reza was a 20-year-old Iranian TikTok influencer. He grew up in a very conservative society, and like most Iranians, he was expected to live out his life in a planned manner. Go to school, work, and then get married with a lovely lady, and then have kids. There was only one big issue with this entire plan. Ali Reza was gay. He identified as such in a society that still practices honor killings on a regular basis. Now, before anyone even tries it and says, oh, don't stereotype Iranian culture, or not all Iranians are like this and stuff, I know, guys, okay? I already know that. But the fact that honor killings even happen at all in 2021 is just like too much to process, and it's already troubling enough in my opinion. For those of you who don't know, honor killings are typically committed by one family member onto another family member, mostly because of religious dogma, and for apparently bringing like some sort of shame onto the family. Usually what is considered shameful in such societies is if a parent finds out that their son or daughter is like dating around, is part of the LGBTQ community, or is having relations outside of marriage. These things sometimes lead to honor killings and are often made by direct family members, like a father onto his child, or an uncle onto his niece or nephew. It's happened all across the world, all throughout history, but it's currently most prevalent in Islamic societies at this period in time. This is not to say that all Muslims or Islamic societies commit such acts. Many Muslim nations have like a ban on honor killings, but unfortunately they still happen regularly. Now, not only did Ali Reza identify as a gay man, but he was also a rather flamboyant personality, or as many in the LGBTQ community would say, he was more of like a twink rather than a butch masculine man. Now, a twink is usually like someone who harbors more effeminate traits, or is perceived to harbor those types of traits. He would post lip-syncing videos on TikTok for the fun of it, and this apparently reached his family, who were shocked to see him act in such a way that they deemed to be like heretical or deviant. This was especially the case for his father, who apparently really detested the way he perceived his son to be pretty like feminine in his behaviors. Being gay in Iran is extremely difficult, and it brings your family a lot of shame. I remember watching a video indicating that Iran had like one of the highest sex reassignment surgeries, and at first I thought it was maybe because Iran was actually a progressive nation in regards to like sex change and transitions and stuff, but it actually turned out that the state, as in the actual Iranian government, would fund these surgeries oftentimes forcefully on young gay men so that they become women, because to them a gay man is an atrocity and an atrocious thing that had to be changed. So like they would change the genitalia to have a female genitalia, and that was viewed as like a solution to being gay essentially, which I think we can all agree is just a really fucked up way of thinking. Like if you're attracted to men and you're a man, you'd have to basically be rendered physically into a woman by having your genitalia changed into the genitalia that like most women have, or women identifying people have. Now, this is just a brief little description of what's going on there, and obviously I'm all for sex reassignment surgeries if it's not forceful, but in Iran, if you're a gay man, your family often forces you to undergo sex reassignment surgeries so you become a female, at least like female physically speaking, or in regards to your genitals, because to them being a gay man is just a cardinal sin and just like unforgivable. That's how bad things are in Iran for the LGBTQ community, and Ali Reza was essentially one of the many victims of this hate, unfortunately. Now, what makes this even more heartbreaking is that Ali Reza was actually planning on fleeing Iran. Like, he had prepared all his documents and stuff, and I think I read that he had a little over a week left in Iran. Had this family, just not done what they did to him, he could have escaped and lived a much more fulfilled and complete life, but instead his life was cut short by his own family. So just to elaborate, Ali Reza had a boyfriend or a partner who was living in Turkey, which is also a Muslim majority nation, but it's a lot more accepting of LGBTQ people. And Ali Reza was essentially planning on moving there. In order to do that, he had to apply for asylum, and he had to present proper documentation to the government so he can be exempted from military service on the basis of his sexual identity. After he got to convince the government that he was gay, he got pardoned from military service and he basically had all he needed to flee the country. That said, Ali Reza's father was extremely disappointed in his son's queerness overall. Like, he viewed him as a deviant, and he was reportedly really embarrassed that his son would not take up mandatory military service on the basis of his sexual orientation. Apparently what happened next was that Ali Reza had several family members plot against him, including his own half-brother and 2 cousins. They essentially lured him into a car, drove him on the outskirts of town, and committed the brutal murder there by beheading him, which is just, man, it's such a gruesome way to kill someone. Like, obviously murder in general is horrible, but beheading is just so, like, archaic and, I don't know, just seems animalistic. Now, apparently the Iranian police got hold of this, and they actually arrested all the men involved in Ali Reza's death, but will they actually get punished for murder? I don't know, guys, and honestly, I don't have much hope that they will. A lot of honor killings go unpunished in that part of the world. Again, it's not to say that this happens everywhere in the Middle East or whatever, but it's just the fact that this happens at all, which is just so wrong. Now, this video is meant to inform you on Ali Reza because though I heard about him like on Twitter, I didn't really see mainstream media picking up on this story, and I didn't really see this go super viral. I feel like it's such a pity and a shame that his death has gone mostly unnoticed. Not because he is an exception, as there are tons of other LGBTQ youth being killed all around the world simply for being themselves, but it's the fact that he was killed by his own family that makes this so gruesome and shocking to me, and it's so saddening to see that his story got like not that much coverage, and to not see Ali Reza's name be honored everywhere. Like, even on pro-LGBT websites and organizations, they seem to have just briefly mentioned him, and then they moved on to another topic real quick. Yet when something horrible happens to an LGBTQ youth in the West, the media, or at least LGBTQ pro-media, picks up on it and they render like the victims as symbols, as they should be, you know? I just wish that we could honor all victims equally, because all life, including an Iranian LGBT youth's life, is valuable. And as valuable as an American LGBT person or a British LGBT person's life. It's extremely important that more people speak up against such violence so that the world can have less victims of such disgusting crimes, so that no more lives can be cut short, and that society can advance as a whole. Guys, please like and share this video, or just like post about Ali Reza on Twitter, or, you know, retweet something to spread the message, and like to get like people talking about the subject, and to get people talking about this person, because for him to die in vain is just, it's so sad. The world deserves to know about the suffering of the LGBT community on an international scale, especially those in the Middle East. Only when we confront such hate head on can there be actual change. Hiding it and trying to be politically correct all the time will just like allow more hatred to fester in some people. Thanks guys, please like and leave a comment and subscribe for more videos, and remember, I be me and you be you. Bye guys.